Hey, what's going on, friends and family? It's your boy Elton, aka So back to you with another installment to What Does God Say TV. And today we are talking about self-discipline. So one of the biggest things that we struggle today in today's world is self-discipline. Whether you're a teenager, whether you're an adult, whether you're an elderly person, self-discipline is something that always gets the best of us. And it's funny because I love the way Google puts the definition of self-discipline. Google says that self-discipline pretty much, is the ability to control one's feelings and overcome one's weakness. The ability to pursue what you think is right despite the temptation to abandon it. So I like to look at self-discipline as self-love. Because you love yourself enough, you're willing to put yourself on the discipline. You're willing to put yourself on the submission. Paul says this in 1 Corinthians. He says, I beat my body and I make it a slave. Just because I know that if I want to depend on my body to do something, or my feelings or my emotion, I would not do it. So I have to make sure I put everything in my life on check pretty much. So self-discipline is self-love. It's because you love yourself so much that you want to put yourself through these tests and tryouts or this routine because you know that the results will be beneficial for you in long term. The reason why you go to school, for example, for 4 years and you put yourself through this discipline is because at the end of the 4 years, you know that you will be able to acquire a degree that will play a major factor into you getting a better job pretty much. I love the way, Proverbs 25 verse 28 puts it. It says this, a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without no walls. A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without no walls. Self-discipline is putting walls around your life because you need boundaries. If you're just a yes man every time, if you're just, if your friends call you, hey, let's do this, and you just do this without no self-discipline yourself, you will find yourself bleeding to death. You find yourself, always empty. You will find yourself with no values, no morals. Self-discipline gives us value, it gives us morals, and it just gives us standards. Without self-discipline, there's no standards. And Proverbs just says this: if you don't have walls in your life, if you don't have boundaries that people respect, then people will never take you serious. Because of self-discipline, people will take you serious. Paul says that because I want to see people come to Jesus, I have to learn how to self-discipline myself. And if you don't have walls in your life, that's not going to happen. You need walls. People need to respect your walls, not just because people need to respect those walls. Those walls are going to push you further in life. Now, I like the way Hebrews 12:11 says, no discipline seems pleasing at the time. Meaning, self-discipline is not supposed to please you. Like the reason why I wake up every day at 5 in the morning and go to the gym, do you think my body wants to take that every day? It's not supposed to be something that I'm happy with. Self-discipline is never something that you would like. It pushes you in this uncomfortable position that you were like, do I really want this? It's supposed to make you second guess every single thing. And the scripture goes on by saying, but patience later on, however, produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. So you have to train your mind. Self-discipline is something that you train in the long term. You start one day, second day, 2 days, 3 days in a row. Next thing is a week. Next thing is a custom. Like a famous man once said, if you want to build a habit, it takes 21 days to build a habit, and it takes 90 days to make it, something that is part of you pretty much. So if you've been struggling with self-discipline, I want you to begin to think about these things. What walls do I have around my life? And I'm not talking about Trump and the walls the wall that he's trying to build. But if you don't have walls, you need to begin to set standards in your life and begin to put things into order. Like my pastor used to say, don't be afraid to have rules and standards in your life. That might have people offended because you're trying to self-discipline yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's what is important to you. If you value something so much that you want to self-discipline yourself, go ahead and do it. Put those boundaries, put those walls. You need to have walls. If you don't have no walls, what you're doing is you're giving the enemy free access. You're living a reckless life, a life that that is not sustained by rules and regulations that you have to live by. Because you have to understand this: without rules and regulations, our life is a savage life. Our life is savage. We need to discipline ourselves. And I can definitely say I'm a proud example. And in these past days, I've just been a lot of self-disciplining myself, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's studying, whether it's just, doing what I'm supposed to do at the time that I've set to do it, and on a consistent base, I'm just doing it. And I want to encourage you, if you're struggling with self-discipline, begin to build walls around your life. Begin to put things into place. And don't be afraid if people don't agree with you, because at the end of the day, it's what matters to you, and it's improving yourself.